The morning sun cast long shadows across the grounds of Sandringham Estate as preparations began for what would become one of the most memorable royal christenings in recent history. Princess Charlotte Elizabeth Diana, just 2 months old, was about to be baptized in the same church where her late grandmother, Princess Diana, had been christened decades earlier. The symbolism wasn't lost on anyone, particularly the photographers who had gathered hours before dawn to capture every moment of this historic day. Camilla Parker Bowles, now the Duchess of Cornwall, had spent the early morning hours in careful preparation. Her stylist, Jackie Meakin, had worked tirelessly to create a look that would honor the solemnity of the occasion while allowing Camilla's natural elegance to shine through. The cream silk dress by Bruce Oldfield had been chosen months earlier, its simple lines and sophisticated cut reflecting the understated luxury that had become Camilla's signature style. As she stood before the mirror in her private dressing room, Camilla felt a familiar flutter of nerves. These family occasions always carried extra weight when the world was watching. Every gesture would be analyzed, every expression interpreted, every outfit choice dissected by fashion critics and royal watchers alike. She had learned, through years of public scrutiny, to maintain her composure regardless of the pressure. The jewelry selection had been particularly meaningful. Camilla chose pieces that spoke to both tradition and personal significance. The diamond and pearl brooch pinned to her dress had belonged to the Queen Mother, a woman whose grace under pressure Camilla had long admired. The delicate pearl necklace was a gift from Prince Charles, given during their early courtship years when their relationship was still largely private. Her hair, styled in soft waves that framed her face beautifully, was the result of hours of careful work. The royal hairdresser had studied photographs from classic Hollywood films, seeking inspiration from the golden age of cinema when elegance was effortless and sophistication came naturally. The goal was to create something timeless, something that would photograph beautifully from every angle. Meanwhile, across the estate, the rest of the royal family was making their own preparations. Prince William and Catherine, the proud parents, were managing the delicate balance of preparing for a formal ceremony while caring for a 2-month-old baby and an energetic toddler. Prince George, at just 2 years old, was experiencing his first major family event as a big brother, and the excitement was both endearing and exhausting for his parents. The Queen had arrived at Sandringham the evening before, bringing with her the family christening gown that had been used for royal babies for generations. Made of Huntington lace and white satin, the gown carried the weight of history and tradition. It had been worn by countless royal children, including Prince Charles himself, and now it would embrace another generation. Prince Charles moved through the morning with his characteristic attention to detail, ensuring every aspect of the day would run smoothly. As father of the groom at his son's wedding and now grandfather at his granddaughter's christening, he understood the importance of these milestone moments in maintaining the monarchy's connection with the public. Each event was an opportunity to show the human side of the royal family while maintaining the dignity and tradition that the British people expected. The church itself had been prepared with meticulous care. St. Mary Magdalene, with its Norman architecture and peaceful cemetery, had been the site of countless royal services over the years. The flowers, arranged by the estate's gardeners, featured white roses, peonies, and sweet peas, creating an atmosphere of serene beauty that would serve as the perfect backdrop for the ceremony. Security preparations had been ongoing for weeks. While the family wanted the christening to feel intimate and personal, the reality of royal life meant that extensive safety measures were necessary. The grounds had been swept multiple times, and discreet security personnel were positioned throughout the area. The balance between accessibility for the media and privacy for the family required careful choreography. As the morning progressed, Camilla found herself thinking about the significance of the day beyond the ceremony itself. Princess Charlotte represented the future of the monarchy, a new generation that would grow up in a world very different from the one Camilla had known as a young woman. The responsibilities and expectations would be different, but the core values of service and dedication would remain the same. The relationship between Camilla and the younger members of the royal family had evolved beautifully over the years. What had once been a source of tension had transformed into genuine affection and mutual respect. Catherine, in particular, had welcomed Camilla's guidance as she navigated her own role within the family. The shared experience of marrying into the monarchy created a bond that went beyond formal relationships. The media attention surrounding the christening was intense, but it was different from the harsh scrutiny Camilla had faced in earlier years. Public opinion had shifted gradually as people witnessed her dedication to her royal duties and her obvious devotion to Prince Charles. The woman who had once been portrayed as a villain in a fairy tale had emerged as a figure of quiet strength and authentic grace. As she made final adjustments to her outfit, Camilla reflected on the journey that had brought her to this moment. The path to acceptance hadn't been easy, but it had taught her valuable lessons about resilience, patience, and the importance of staying true to oneself despite public pressure. These lessons would serve her well as she continued to support her husband and contribute to the monarchy's evolution. The sounds of activity throughout the house indicated that departure time was approaching. Staff members moved efficiently through their final preparations, ensuring that every detail was perfect. The cars that would transport the family to the church were positioned precisely, their timing calculated to create the most favorable lighting conditions for photographers. Camilla's personal protection officer arrived to brief her on the day's schedule and security arrangements. The route to the church, while short, had been carefully planned to provide optimal photo opportunities while maintaining safety protocols. The timing of arrivals had been coordinated to ensure that the most important moments would occur when lighting conditions were ideal. The breakfast service had been deliberately light, recognizing that nerves and excitement could affect appetites. Traditional English breakfast items were available, but most family members opted for simpler fare. Princess Charlotte, blissfully unaware of the significance of her special day, had been fed and changed according to a carefully planned schedule designed to maximize her comfort during the ceremony. Prince George's outfit had been chosen to complement the formal nature of the occasion while allowing him the freedom of movement that a 2-year-old required. His parents had wisely prepared backup clothing options, knowing that young children could be unpredictable even during the most carefully planned events. The gift table displayed an impressive array of presents from well-wishers around the world. Royal christenings traditionally inspired generous expressions of goodwill from both dignitaries and ordinary citizens. Each gift would be carefully cataloged and acknowledged, continuing the royal tradition of gracious recognition for public support. As the final minutes of preparation ticked away, Camilla took a moment to center herself. She had learned, through years of public appearances, the importance of mental preparation for significant events. The cameras would capture every expression, every gesture, and every interaction. Her role was to support the family while presenting herself with the dignity and grace that the public expected. The morning light streaming through the windows created perfect conditions for the photography that would define this day. Natural lighting was always preferable for royal portraits, and the timing had been carefully calculated to take advantage of the golden hour that photographers prize. This attention to detail, while invisible to casual observers, would make the difference between ordinary pictures and iconic images. The call came from downstairs that it was time to depart. Camilla took one final look in the mirror, satisfied that she had achieved the balance between elegance and appropriateness that these occasions demanded. She had no way of knowing that in just a few hours, her image would be compared to one of the most glamorous figures in Hollywood history, or that this day would mark a turning point in how the public perceived her. The household staff lined up to see the family off, a tradition that added warmth to even the most formal occasions. These dedicated individuals, who worked behind the scenes to make royal life function smoothly, were always included in the celebration of family milestones. Their genuine affection for the family was evident in their smiles and well wishes. As Camilla descended the main staircase, her cream silk dress catching the light beautifully, She embodied the transformation that years of experience and growing confidence had created. The woman who had once seemed uncertain in her royal role now moved with natural grace and authentic presence. This evolution, gradual but profound, was about to be captured in photographs that would define a new chapter in her public image. The cars waited in perfect formation, their positions calculated for both security and photographic considerations. The journey to St. Mary Magdalene would take only minutes, but those minutes would be crucial in building anticipation for the ceremony itself. The timing of arrivals, the order of vehicles, and even the speed of travel had all been carefully orchestrated. Prince Charles appeared at the top of the stairs, resplendent in his mourning suit, his pride in his family evident in his bearing. The grandfather role suited him perfectly, adding a warmth to his public persona that years of formal duties had sometimes obscured. His relationship with his grandchildren brought out a playful side that the public rarely glimpsed but that his family treasured. The final security sweep confirmed that all systems were ready. The route was clear, the church prepared, and the media positioned according to carefully negotiated agreements. What remained was the ceremony itself and the family photographs that would preserve this moment for history. None of them could have predicted that one particular image would capture something magical enough to compare with Hollywood's golden age. The convoy of royal vehicles moved through the Norfolk countryside with practiced precision, each car positioned to create the optimal arrival sequence at St. Mary Magdalene Church. Camilla sat quietly in the back seat of the Bentley, watching the familiar landscape roll past while mentally preparing for the public moments ahead. The morning sun had risen higher now, casting the kind of natural light that photographers dream of and that would soon transform an ordinary family photo into something extraordinary. Inside the church, Archbishop of Canterbury Justin Welby was making his final preparations for the ceremony. The baptism of Princess Charlotte carried special significance, as she was fifth in line to the throne, and the Archbishop understood the weight of tradition that accompanied such moments. The silver-gilt lily font, brought specially from the Tower of London for the occasion, stood ready to receive the holy water that would mark Charlotte's entry into the Christian faith. The font itself told a story of royal tradition spanning generations. Made in 1840 for the christening of Queen Victoria's first child, it had been used for countless royal baptisms since. Its ornate design, featuring water lilies and cherubs, represented both the innocence of childhood and the continuity of a monarchy. Today, it would embrace another princess whose life would unfold under the scrutiny and expectations that came with royal birth. Prince William and Catherine had chosen the godparents with careful consideration for both personal relationships and royal protocol. Each selection represented a different aspect of their lives and values, from close personal friendships to family connections that honor tradition while embracing modernity. The godparents would play important roles in Charlotte's spiritual development and would serve as additional support systems throughout her life. The media presence outside the church was substantial but controlled. Photographers from around the world had positioned themselves according to carefully negotiated agreements that balanced public interest with family privacy. The iconic image that would emerge from this day was still hours away, waiting for the perfect convergence of light, wind, and natural grace that would create photographic magic. Local residents had gathered along the route, and outside the church, many bringing flowers and small gifts for the new princess. Their genuine warmth and excitement provided a touching counterpoint to the formal ceremony taking place. These were the people who saw the royal family not as distant figures, but as neighbors who happened to live extraordinary lives. Security personnel moved with invisible efficiency, their presence felt but not intrusive. Years of experience had taught them how to maintain safety while allowing the natural flow of events that made these occasions feel authentic rather than staged. Their vigilance ensured that the family could focus on the emotional significance of the day rather than worrying about external threats. As the royal convoy approached the church, Camilla could see the crowds gathering and the media positions that had been established since dawn. She had long since learned to navigate these public moments with composure, understanding that her role was to support the family while maintaining the dignity that the occasion demanded. The nervous energy she had felt earlier was transforming into focused calm. The first car arrived precisely on schedule, and the carefully choreographed sequence of arrivals began. Each family member would emerge at predetermined intervals, creating natural photo opportunities while maintaining the ceremonial atmosphere appropriate for such a significant religious occasion. The timing had been calculated to take advantage of optimal lighting conditions and to build dramatic anticipation for the main family group. Prince Harry emerged from the first vehicle, looking relaxed and genuinely happy to be celebrating his niece's christening. His easy charm and natural way with crowds made him a favorite of photographers and public alike. His single status at the time meant that speculation about his personal life often overshadowed his royal duties. But today the focus was firmly on family celebration. The arrival of extended family members and friends created a warm atmosphere of genuine celebration. These were people who knew Charlotte not as a future royal, but as a beloved baby whose arrival had brought joy to their lives. Their presence reminded observers that beneath the ceremonial aspects of the day lay authentic family bonds and real emotional connections. Catherine's parents, Michael and Carol Middleton, arrived with the quiet dignity that had characterized their approach to their daughter's royal role. Their journey from successful business owners to royal grandparents had been navigated with grace and discretion, earning them respect from both the media and the public. Today, they were simply grandparents celebrating their granddaughter's christening. The Middleton family's presence at royal events had evolved from novelty to natural acceptance over the years. Their middle-class background initially attracted attention as something new within royal circles, but their genuine warmth and strong family values had quickly won over skeptics. They represented a modernizing influence that helped connect the monarchy with contemporary British life. Prince George's arrival generated particular excitement from the crowds. At just 2 years old, he was beginning to show his personality at public events, sometimes with endearing unpredictability that delighted onlookers. His parents had prepared carefully for his participation in the ceremony, knowing that managing a toddler's behavior during formal occasions required patience and backup plans. The young prince's outfit had been chosen to reflect the formal nature of the occasion, while allowing him the comfort necessary for good behavior during the ceremony. Royal children's clothing always attracted significant attention from fashion observers, and designers considered it a privilege to create garments for future monarchs. Every detail, from the fabric choice to the styling, would be analyzed and copied by parents around the world. Queen Elizabeth II's arrival marked a significant moment in the day's proceedings. At her age, each family gathering carried special meaning, and her presence at Charlotte's christening demonstrated the importance she placed on maintaining family traditions. Her experience, spanning decades of royal ceremonies, provided a calming influence that helped ensure everything would proceed smoothly. The Queen's outfit had been chosen with her characteristic attention to detail and consideration for photographic impact. Her bright colors were selected not only for their cheerful appropriateness, but also for their visibility in group photographs. Years of experience had taught her how clothing choices could affect the overall visual impact of royal events. Prince Charles and Camilla's arrival would typically be the penultimate moment before the main family group, but today held special significance as Charles embraced his grandfather role with obvious delight. His relationship with his grandchildren had revealed a playful side that the public rarely saw, but that his family treasured. The formal duties of his position couldn't overshadow his genuine joy in these personal milestones. As Camilla stepped from the car, the morning light caught her cream silk dress in a way that seemed almost magical. The fabric moved gracefully in the gentle breeze, and her carefully styled hair framed her face perfectly. The photographers, trained to capture split-second moments that told larger stories, began to sense that something special was happening. The positioning outside the church had been carefully planned to create natural groupings for photographs, while respecting the religious significance of the occasion. The stone architecture of St. Mary Magdalene provided a beautiful backdrop that spoke to centuries of tradition, while the morning light created conditions that any photographer would consider ideal. Camilla moved through the preliminary greetings and positioning with natural grace, her years of public appearances having taught her how to be present in the moment while remaining aware of the cameras documenting every gesture. She understood that these images would be preserved in history and wanted to ensure they reflected the dignity and joy appropriate for such an occasion. The family began to gather in the groupings that would create the formal photographs, each person taking their assigned position while maintaining the natural interactions that would make the images feel authentic rather than staged. Professional photographers worked quickly but unobtrusively, capturing both posed portraits and candid moments that revealed genuine family dynamics. Prince William and Catherine emerged last, carrying Princess Charlotte in the historic christening gown that connected her to generations of royal children who had preceded her. The baby's peaceful demeanor suggested that the careful timing of her feeding and care schedule had been successful. Her parents' obvious joy and pride created an atmosphere of celebration that extended to everyone present. The christening gown itself was a masterpiece of craftsmanship, its Huntington lace and silk satin representing the finest British textile traditions. The garment's history added layers of meaning to the ceremony, connecting Charlotte to her heritage while marking her individual place in the royal lineage. Every stitch carried the weight of tradition and the promise of continuity. As the family assembled for the crucial group photographs that would define the public memory of this day, the elements were aligning perfectly. The morning light had reached its optimal angle. The gentle breeze was creating just enough movement to add life to the images, and the family's genuine happiness was evident in their expressions and body language. Camilla found herself positioned in a way that caught the photographer's artistic eye. The combination of her elegant bearing, the beautiful
Welcome
light,
to the world,
and
little
the
one.
natural movement of her hair and dress created a visual moment that transcended ordinary documentation. The cream silk fabric seemed to glow in the morning sun, and her expression of quiet joy perfectly captured the spirit of the celebration. The photographers worked with professional efficiency, knowing that their window for optimal conditions was limited and that managing a group that included young children required quick execution. Their experience with royal events had taught them to be ready for unexpected moments of magic that could elevate routine documentation into iconic imagery. The formal groupings progressed through various combinations, ensuring that different family relationships would be represented in the final collection of images. From intimate shots of the immediate family to broader compositions, including godparents and extended family, each photograph served a specific purpose in telling the story of Charlotte's christening. As they moved through the required shots, the natural interactions between family members created the authentic moments that would make these photographs timeless. Camilla's maternal warmth toward her step-grandchildren was evident, while her supportive presence beside Prince Charles showed the solid partnership they had built over their years together. The wind picked up slightly, creating movement in Camilla's hair that would prove crucial to the iconic image about to be captured. The photographer, sensing the perfect convergence of elements, prepared to capture what would become the defining moment of the day. The natural light, the graceful movement, and Camilla's serene expression were about to combine in a way that would surprise everyone, including herself. In that split second, as the shutter clicked and time seemed suspended, photography captured something that went beyond mere documentation. The image would reveal not just a family celebration, but a moment of unexpected glamour that would remind the world that true elegance transcends age and circumstance. The comparison to Hollywood's golden age was still hours away from being made, but the foundation for that observation was being laid in this perfect moment of light and grace. The ceremony inside St. Mary Magdalene Church unfolded with the timeless beauty that had characterized royal christenings for generations. Archbishop of Canterbury Justin Welby's voice carried clearly through the intimate space as he began the ancient words that would welcome Princess Charlotte into the Christian faith. The gathered family and friends created an atmosphere of reverence and joy that transformed the formal religious ceremony into something deeply personal and meaningful. Camilla sat in the front pew, her cream silk dress creating an elegant focal point against the dark wood of the church interior. The morning light streaming through the stained glass windows cast colorful patterns across her face, adding to the ethereal quality that photographers outside were beginning to recognize in their initial review of the images captured during the arrivals. The positioning within the church had been carefully planned to ensure that every family member could participate fully in the ceremony, while maintaining the dignity appropriate for such a sacred occasion. Princess Charlotte remained remarkably calm throughout the service, her peaceful demeanor suggesting that the careful planning around her schedule and care had been successful. The historic christening gown draped beautifully around her small form, its intricate lacework catching the church's soft lighting in ways that created an almost otherworldly appearance. Her parents' obvious joy and nervous excitement added human warmth to the formal proceedings. The Archbishop's words carried special significance as he spoke about the responsibilities and blessings that would accompany Charlotte throughout her life. His reference to her royal heritage was balanced with reminders that her faith would provide guidance and strength regardless of her worldly position. The ceremony connected her not only to her family's traditions, but to the broader Christian community that would support her spiritual development. Prince George's behavior during the ceremony became a source of gentle family amusement and public delight. His 2-year-old curiosity about the proceedings and his occasional need for quiet redirection from his parents created moments of authentic family interaction that photographers and observers found endearing. These unscripted moments reminded everyone that despite the formal setting, this was ultimately a family celebration. The godparents took their vows seriously, understanding that their role would extend far beyond this single ceremony. Each had been chosen for specific qualities and relationships that would enrich Charlotte's life as she grew. Their presence added layers of support and guidance that would prove valuable throughout her development, providing perspectives and experiences that would complement her parents' influence. The ancient font, brought specially from the Tower of London, held the blessed water that would mark Charlotte's formal entry into the Christian faith. Its ornate design had witnessed countless royal christenings over the decades, connecting this ceremony to a continuous chain of tradition that stretched back through generations of British monarchs. The weight of history was palpable as the Archbishop prepared for the crucial moment of baptism. Queen Elizabeth II observed the ceremony with the deep satisfaction that came from witnessing another generation's entry into the family traditions she had spent her entire life maintaining. Her presence lent gravity and continuity to the proceedings, reminding everyone present that they were participating in something much larger than a single family celebration. Her obvious affection for her great-granddaughter added warmth to the formal occasion. The music selected for the ceremony reflected both traditional expectations and personal preferences of Prince William and Catherine. The hymns and choral pieces created an atmosphere of celebration that elevated the spirits of everyone present while maintaining the reverent tone appropriate for the religious significance of the baptism. The church's acoustics enhanced the musical selections, creating moments of transcendent beauty. Prince Charles watched the proceedings with visible emotion, his role as grandfather adding new dimensions to his understanding of family and legacy. The man who would one day be king was experiencing the profound joy of watching his son and daughter-in-law continue the family line while creating their own traditions. His pride in his expanding family was evident to everyone present. As the ceremony reached its climactic moment, the Archbishop lifted Princess Charlotte gently and spoke the words that would formally welcome her into the Christian community. The blessed water touched her forehead as generations of royal children had experienced before her, creating a connection that transcended time and individual circumstances. The moment was both intimate and historic, personal and public. The family's response to Charlotte's baptism reflected the perfect balance between joy and reverence that characterized the best royal ceremonies. Their genuine emotion was evident, but contained within the dignity that the occasion demanded. This balance had been achieved through careful preparation and the natural grace that came from understanding the significance of the moment. Following the ceremony, the family gathered outside the church for the formal photographs that would preserve this day for history and public memory. The photographers had spent the interval during the service preparing for this crucial phase, adjusting equipment and positions to capture the family in optimal lighting conditions. Their professional expertise would prove essential in creating the images that would define public perception of this event. Camilla emerged from the church feeling deeply moved by the ceremony's spiritual beauty and family significance. The morning light had evolved during the service, creating even more favorable conditions for photography than had existed during their arrival. The gentle breeze that had begun earlier continued to add natural movement to hair and clothing, creating the dynamic elements that would elevate routine documentation into artistic achievement. The formal grouping process began immediately, with each family member taking predetermined positions that had been carefully planned to create pleasing compositions while honoring family hierarchies and relationships. Professional photographers worked efficiently, understanding that managing a group, including young children, required quick execution and flexibility to capture optimal moments before attention spans were exhausted. The first series of photographs focused on the immediate family, with Prince William and Catherine at the center holding Charlotte, flanked by Prince George and the proud grandparents. These images would serve as the official record of the christening, suitable for release to media outlets worldwide and for preservation in royal family archives. Every detail was carefully considered, from positioning to expressions to background elements. Camilla's positioning in these group shots placed her in lighting conditions that seemed almost designed to showcase her natural elegance. The cream silk dress continued to catch the light beautifully, while her hair moved gracefully in the gentle breeze. The photographers, trained to recognize exceptional moments when they occurred, began to realize they were capturing something special. The extended family groupings included godparents, grandparents, and close family friends who had played important roles in the young family's life. These broader compositions told the story of Charlotte's support network and the community of love that surrounded her from birth. Each person's presence added meaning to the celebration and would provide Charlotte with rich memories as she grew older. Prince Harry's natural charisma and ease with cameras made him a valuable addition to the photographic compositions, his genuine joy in his niece's celebration evident in every image. His bachelor status at the time meant that royal watchers often focused on his personal life, but today his role as devoted uncle took precedence. His playful interactions with Prince George created some of the day's most charming, candid moments. The technical aspects of the photography were complicated by the need to manage lighting conditions, group positioning, and the natural unpredictability of including young children in formal portraits. Professional photographers relied on their experience with royal events to work quickly while maintaining the high standards expected for these historic images. Their expertise would prove crucial in capturing the defining moment that was about to occur. As the session progressed through various groupings and combinations, the natural dynamics between family members created authentic moments that elevated the formal portraits beyond mere documentation. Camilla's maternal warmth toward her step-grandchildren was evident, while her supportive partnership with Prince Charles showed the solid foundation they had built together over years of shared public service. The photographers began to notice something special happening with Camilla's images. The combination of perfect lighting, natural grace, and the elegant movement of her hair and clothing was creating a visual effect that transcended ordinary royal photography. They continued shooting, sensing that they were witnessing something that would prove significant beyond the immediate purpose of documenting the christening. Queen Elizabeth II's participation in the group photographs required special consideration for her comfort and positioning, but her presence added immeasurable value to the historical record being created. Her experience with countless similar occasions over the decades had taught her how to position herself for optimal photographic impact while maintaining the dignity appropriate for her role. The morning light reached its peak quality as the photography session progressed, creating conditions that professional photographers consider ideal for portraiture. The natural illumination enhanced skin tones, brought out the details in clothing textures, and created the kind of dimensional lighting that adds depth and interest to photographic images. These optimal conditions were crucial to the exceptional quality of the images being captured. As they moved through the final groupings, the wind picked up slightly, creating additional movement in hair and clothing that would prove essential to the most memorable images of the day. Camilla's hair caught the breeze in a way that framed her face perfectly, while the silk fabric of her dress moved with fluid grace. The photographers, recognizing the perfect convergence of elements, worked quickly to capture these optimal moments. The image that would soon become iconic was captured during this final phase of the photography session. In that split second, when lighting, positioning, natural movement, and genuine expression combined perfectly, the camera recorded something that went far beyond routine documentation. The photograph revealed a moment of unexpected glamour and timeless elegance that would surprise everyone who saw it. The family began to make their way back toward the vehicles that would transport them to Sandringham House for the private celebration that would follow. The public portion of the christening was complete, but the images captured during these precious moments would soon begin their journey toward becoming part of royal history and popular culture. Professional photographers began the immediate review process that would determine which images would be selected for initial release to media outlets worldwide. The technical quality, compositional strength, and emotional content of each photograph would be evaluated quickly to meet the demanding deadlines of international news coverage. They had no way of knowing that one particular image would soon capture global attention in ways none of them had anticipated. The private celebration at Sandringham House following Princess Charlotte's christening provided the royal family with precious time to savor the morning's events away from public scrutiny. The formal dining room had been transformed into a warm celebration space, with flowers from the estate gardens creating centerpieces that echoed the church decorations. This intimate gathering allowed family members to share genuine reactions to the ceremony and to enjoy Charlotte's company in a relaxed atmosphere. Meanwhile, in photo agencies and newspaper offices around the world, editors were beginning their review of the hundreds of images captured during the christening. The initial selection process focused on technical quality and newsworthiness, but as the editors worked through the photographs, several began to notice something extraordinary in one particular image of the Duchess of Cornwall. The photograph showed Camilla in profile, her hair caught by the wind, her cream dress flowing gracefully, and her expression one of serene contentment. The comparison to Marilyn Monroe didn't emerge immediately. It began with one editor who paused longer than usual at the image, struck by something familiar yet impossible to place. The elegance, the windswept hair, the classic beauty of the moment reminded him of something from Hollywood's golden age. He called a colleague over, and together they studied the photograph, trying to identify what made it so compelling. The breakthrough came when a fashion editor, well-versed in iconic imagery from the 1950s and 1960s, saw the photograph and immediately recognized the similarity to classic Marilyn Monroe portraits. The windswept hair, the cream-colored clothing, the natural grace, and the timeless elegance created an unmistakable echo of the Hollywood legend's most memorable images. The comparison was striking enough to stop conversation in the newsroom. Word of the remarkable photograph spread quickly through media circles. Fashion photographers and celebrity portrait specialists were called in to examine the image and provide expert opinions on its composition and impact. The consensus was unanimous. This was not just another royal photograph, but something that transcended its original context to become art. The technical excellence combined with natural beauty to create an image worthy of comparison to the greatest portrait photographs in history. The fashion industry took notice immediately. Stylists and designers who had worked with Camilla over the years weren't entirely surprised by the transformation captured in the photograph. They had long recognized her natural elegance and had worked to help her develop a signature style that honored royal tradition while allowing her personality to shine through. This image represented the culmination of years of careful image development and growing confidence. Social media platforms began buzzing with reactions as the photograph was released to the public. The response was overwhelmingly positive, with commenters expressing amazement at Camilla's timeless beauty and sophisticated style. Many noted that the comparison to Marilyn Monroe was apt not just visually, but in terms of the photograph's ability to capture something essential about feminine grace and natural charm. Fashion historians weighed in on the significance of the image, noting that it represented a moment when royal style achieved true iconic status. The cream silk dress by Bruce Oldfield was analyzed for its role in creating the overall effect, with fashion experts praising the designer's ability to create something that was both contemporary and timeless. The dress's simple elegance allowed Camilla's natural beauty to take center stage. Photography experts dissected the technical aspects that made the image so compelling. The natural lighting, the perfect timing of the wind-blown hair, the angle of the shot, and the subject's genuine expression all combined to create what professionals recognized as a perfect portrait. The comparison to Richard Avedon's and other legendary photographers' work with Marilyn Monroe was both apt and generous. Back at Sandringham House, the family remained largely unaware of the media sensation developing around Camilla's photograph. They were focused on celebrating Charlotte's christening and enjoying the rare opportunity for an intimate family gathering. Prince Charles was particularly delighted with how smoothly the day had proceeded and how beautifully his wife had carried herself throughout the public portions of the event. Camilla herself was relaxed and happy, pleased that the ceremony had gone so well and that Charlotte had remained calm throughout the proceedings. She had always been somewhat uncomfortable with extensive media attention, preferring to let her actions and dedication to royal duties speak for themselves. The idea that she was about to become the subject of widespread praise for her style and grace would have surprised her greatly. The luncheon conversation centered on family topics: Charlotte's development, Prince George's adaptation to being a big brother, and the various charitable commitments that occupied the adult family members' time. The Queen shared stories of previous royal christenings, providing historical context that enriched everyone's appreciation of the morning's events. These intergenerational conversations were treasured opportunities for sharing family history and values. International media outlets began picking up the story of Camilla's transformation, with headlines celebrating her unexpected moment of Hollywood glamour. Fashion magazines started planning feature articles analyzing her style evolution and the elements that contributed to the iconic photograph. The story was taking on a life of its own, growing beyond simple royal coverage into broader discussions about beauty, style, and public perception. Celebrity stylists and fashion influencers added their voices to the conversation, many noting that the photograph demonstrated how authentic confidence and natural grace could create more powerful images than any amount of artificial enhancement or staging. Camilla's genuine happiness and comfort in her role had translated into a photograph that radiated positive energy and timeless appeal. The photograph's impact extended beyond fashion and celebrity circles. Photography schools began using it as an example of how perfect timing, natural light, and genuine expression could create images that transcended their immediate purpose. The technical aspects of a shot became teaching tools for aspiring photographers seeking to understand how documentary photography could achieve artistic significance. Royal correspondents who had covered Camilla's journey from controversial figure to respected royal family member saw the photograph as symbolic of her complete transformation. The woman who had once been portrayed negatively in the media was now being celebrated for her grace, style, and natural beauty. The image represented not just a moment of photographic excellence, but a milestone in public acceptance and appreciation. The comparison to Marilyn Monroe was particularly significant because it connected Camilla to one of the most beloved and iconic figures in popular culture. Monroe represented timeless beauty, natural charm, and an ability to transcend the circumstances of her time to become a cultural touchstone. The fact that a royal family member could evoke similar feelings spoke to Camilla's authentic appeal and natural grace. Fashion designers around the world began studying the photograph for inspiration, noting how classic styling and elegant simplicity could create maximum impact. The cream silk dress became a point of reference for understanding how color, fabric, and cut could work together to enhance natural beauty rather than overshadowing it. The image became a masterclass in sophisticated dressing. Public relations experts analyzed the photograph's impact on Camilla's public image, noting how one powerful image could shift perception more effectively than years of carefully planned campaigns. The authentic nature of the moment, captured without staging or artificial enhancement, gave it a credibility that resonated with audiences who had grown skeptical of overly produced royal imagery. The photography continued to gain momentum on social media platforms, with users creating side-by-side comparisons with famous Marilyn Monroe photographs that highlighted the similarities in pose, lighting, and overall aesthetic appeal. These user-generated comparisons helped spread appreciation for the image far beyond traditional royal watching audiences. Art critics began weighing in on the photograph's significance, with some comparing it to iconic portraits from photography's golden age. The combination of technical excellence, perfect timing, and genuine emotion created what many considered a modern classic. The image was being discussed not just as royal documentation, but as legitimate artistic achievement. The success of the photograph also highlighted the skill of the photographers who had captured it. Their ability to recognize and preserve a moment of unexpected beauty demonstrated the importance of professional expertise in documenting royal events. The technical proficiency required to create such an image under the challenging conditions of a live event impressed photography professionals worldwide. As the afternoon wore on at Sandringham House, family members began sharing their own favorite moments from the morning's ceremony and photography session. Prince Charles expressed particular satisfaction with how natural and relaxed everyone had appeared in the photographs, though he remained unaware of the sensation that one particular image was creating in media circles around the world. The impact of the photograph would continue to grow over the following days and weeks, but its immediate effect was to transform public perception of Camilla in a single, powerful moment. The image captured something authentic and beautiful that resonated with audiences who had previously seen her primarily in formal, ceremonial contexts. It revealed a side of her personality that many had not recognized before. The success of the Marilyn Monroe comparison also demonstrated the power of visual storytelling in the modern media landscape. A single photograph, captured in a moment of perfect conditions and genuine emotion, could communicate more effectively than hours of television coverage or thousands of words of written coverage. The image had become a cultural phenomenon that transcended its original royal context. By evening, the photograph was being featured prominently on news websites and social media platforms around the world. The story of Camilla's unexpected transformation into a Hollywood-style icon was capturing public imagination and generating positive coverage that would have lasting benefits for her public image. The christening of Princess Charlotte had created an unexpected star, and that star was shining with timeless grace and authentic beauty. The global reaction to the photograph continued to build throughout the evening and into the following days, creating a media phenomenon that surprised everyone involved. News outlets that had initially focused on Princess Charlotte's christening found themselves leading with stories about Camilla's transformation, and the image was being shared millions of times across social media platforms worldwide. The comparison to Marilyn Monroe had struck a chord with audiences who appreciated both the technical excellence of the photograph and the authentic beauty it captured. Fashion magazines immediately began planning cover stories and feature articles analyzing what they termed the Camilla effect. Editors recognized that they had witnessed something rare in modern royal coverage, a moment when genuine grace and natural beauty had combined with perfect photographic conditions to create an image that would endure. The photograph was being compared to iconic images from photography's golden age, and the comparisons were favorable. Camilla first learned about the sensation her photograph was creating when her private secretary briefed her during the morning following the christening. The reaction was so positive and widespread that it was impossible to ignore, though Camilla's initial response was characteristically modest. She found it difficult to believe that a simple family photograph could generate such interest, though she was pleased that the coverage was reflecting positively on the royal family. The fashion industry's response was particularly noteworthy. Designers who had worked with Camilla over the years expressed satisfaction that their efforts to develop her signature style were being recognized and celebrated. Bruce Oldfield, whose cream silk dress had played such a crucial role in creating the overall effect, found himself inundated with requests for similar designs from women who wanted to capture even a fraction of the elegance displayed in the photograph. Photography professionals continued to analyze the technical aspects that had made the image so compelling. The natural lighting conditions, the perfect timing of the wind-blown hair, the angle of the shot, and the subject's genuine expression had combined to create what many considered a textbook example of portrait photography at its finest. Photography schools began incorporating the image into their curricula as an example of how documentary photography could achieve artistic significance. The impact on Camilla's public image was immediate and profound. Opinion polls showed a significant increase in positive sentiment toward her, with many respondents specifically mentioning the christening photograph as changing their perception. The image had accomplished what years of carefully planned public relations campaigns had struggled to achieve. It showed Camilla as a naturally elegant and genuinely appealing person rather than simply a royal duty-bearer. International media coverage expanded beyond traditional royal correspondence to include fashion editors, photography critics, and cultural commentators who recognized the broader significance of the moment. The photograph was being discussed not just as royal news, but as a cultural event that demonstrated how authentic moments could create lasting impact in an age of carefully manufactured celebrity images. The comparison to Marilyn Monroe proved particularly powerful because it connected Camilla to ideals of timeless beauty and natural charm that transcended specific eras or cultural contexts. Monroe represented an enduring standard of feminine grace and appeal, and the fact that a member of the British royal family could evoke similar feelings spoke to universal qualities that resonated across different audiences and generations. Royal historians noted that the photograph represented a significant moment in the evolution of the monarchy's relationship with public perception. Previous generations of royal family members had relied primarily on formal portraiture and ceremonial imagery to communicate their status and dignity. This image showed how authentic, unguarded moments could be far more powerful in creating genuine connection with contemporary audiences. The success of the photograph also highlighted changing standards in how the public evaluated royal family members. Traditional measures of royal success had focused on duty, protocol, and ceremonial performance. This image demonstrated that contemporary audiences also valued authenticity, natural beauty, and the ability to appear genuinely human while maintaining appropriate dignity. Social media analysis showed that the photograph was being shared and discussed by demographics that typically showed little interest in royal family coverage. Younger audiences, in particular, responded positively to what they saw as genuine emotion and natural style rather than artificial formality. The image was crossing traditional boundaries and reaching new audiences for the monarchy. Celebrity stylists and fashion influencers began analyzing Camilla's overall style evolution, using the christening photograph as evidence that authentic personal development was more powerful than any amount of artificial enhancement or trend following. The image became a case study in how confidence, appropriate styling, and genuine happiness could create more impact than expensive designers or dramatic makeovers. The economic impact of the photograph's success was also notable. Retailers reported increased demand for cream-colored dresses and classic styling elements similar to those featured in the image. Fashion websites experienced traffic spikes as readers sought to recreate elements of Camilla's look. The photograph was generating what fashion economists termed the royal effect on consumer behavior. Art galleries and photography museums began expressing interest in exhibiting the photograph as an example of contemporary portrait photography that had achieved cultural significance. The image was being evaluated not just as news documentation, but as artistic achievement worthy of preservation and study. Photography critics were comparing it favorably to iconic portraits from the medium's history. Public relations experts studied the phenomenon as an example of how authentic moments could be more powerful than carefully orchestrated campaigns. The photograph's success demonstrated that contemporary audiences were sophisticated enough to distinguish between genuine emotion and artificial presentation, and that they responded more positively to authenticity even in formal contexts. The impact extended to discussions about aging and beauty standards in contemporary culture. Camilla, in her late 60s at the time, was being celebrated for her natural grace and timeless appeal, challenging conventional assumptions about age and attractiveness. The photograph became part of broader conversations about how society perceived and valued women as they matured. Academic researchers in media studies and cultural analysis began examining the photograph as a case study in how single images could influence public perception and cultural discourse. The image was being studied as an example of how visual communication could transcend its immediate context to become part of larger cultural conversations about beauty, authenticity, and public representation. Prince Charles expressed private satisfaction with a positive response to his wife's photograph, though he was careful not to comment publicly in ways that might seem to encourage vanity or excessive focus on appearance. His pride in Camilla's grace under pressure and her natural dignity was evident to those close to the family, and the positive public response validated his long-standing appreciation for her genuine character. The Queen's reaction was reportedly one of quiet pleasure that a family photograph had generated such positive coverage for the monarchy. Her decades of experience with public relations and media management had taught her to appreciate moments when authentic royal behavior resonated positively with contemporary audiences. The photograph represented exactly the kind of natural connection between the royal family and the public that she had always sought to encourage. 6 months after the christening, the photograph continued to be referenced in fashion magazines and style guides as an example of timeless elegance. It had achieved the rare status of becoming a cultural touchstone that transcended its original context. The image was being used to illustrate broader points about style, authenticity, and the power of natural beauty to create lasting impact. The long-term effect of the photograph on Camilla's public image proved to be substantial and enduring. Subsequent public appearances were evaluated in part by comparison to the standard of natural grace and elegant styling established in that single image. The photograph had created expectations and set standards that influenced how both the media and the public interpreted her future appearances. Fashion historians later identified the photograph as a turning point in royal style, marking a moment when natural beauty and authentic emotion became more valued than formal presentation and traditional protocol. The image demonstrated that contemporary audiences responded more positively to genuine human moments than to carefully staged ceremonial imagery. The photograph's success also influenced how other royal family members approached their own public appearances. The value of authentic emotion and natural styling became more widely recognized within royal circles, leading to subtle but significant changes in how formal events were planned and executed. The image had demonstrated that being genuinely human was not incompatible with royal dignity. Years later, the photograph continued to be referenced as one of the defining images of Camilla's public life, and as an example of how single moments could transform public perception. It remained a popular choice for magazine covers and feature articles about royal style, and it continued to generate positive responses from audiences who appreciated its combination of technical excellence and genuine emotion. The legacy of that perfect moment outside St. Mary Magdalene Church extended far beyond royal photography to influence broader conversations about beauty, aging, authenticity, and the power of genuine emotion to create lasting cultural impact. In capturing Camilla's natural grace and timeless appeal, the photograph had created something that would endure long after the immediate circumstances that produced it were forgotten. It had transformed a routine family celebration into a moment of artistic and cultural significance that would be remembered and celebrated for generations to come.